Go
Not
on, Rachel.
so yeah, that remember that discovery call that we did, and I think you said, oh yeah, we'll just have a 15-minute kind of phone conversation. I think after half an hour we were still going,
We were.
kind of thing. But I remember the questions that you asked in that discovery call were very insightful and more geared towards the personal side of things and what was holding me back and what my barriers were and things rather than what was actually going on in my career. And even in that, I remember when I get off that call, I was like, oh shit, she gets me. And I think, God, this could be really useful because she was asking the right questions to understand who I am and what was going on. And it was more about what, not necessarily what was going on at work and how miserable I was at work, but what was going on, in here and the blockers and things. And so it was kind of my first clue in terms of, okay, this could actually be really useful and beneficial for me because it's not just about, as you were just saying, it's not just about putting a career plan together, but unpack a whole lot of other stuff before you can get to that. And it won't be like that with every client, I'm sure. It was
No,
certainly like that
it's
with
not
me.
always, although
Yeah.
I always like to start with a person. And thank you for saying that because I do think it is important to start with the person
Yeah.
first and check in around the level of noise or fog
Yeah.
in it going on in someone's head because that can it's also for me about the giving the best value and outcome to the person that I'm working with. And if their mind is really foggy on other stuff, then my question always is, well, is that going to detract from helping you get the outcome that you
Yeah.
want ultimately?
Yeah. And then, I mean, after that call, you put, a bit of an outline together about what we would do. And, the first part of that, those first kind of 2 or 3 sessions, no, it was more than that, wasn't it? It was kind of about the first 3 sessions that was unpacking all of my baggage and all of my stuff and all my self-doubt and going on in my head that I'd carried around for a long time and my self-belief and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, but I was pretty clear about what we were doing and why we were doing it. So, and then you had also made it clear in your proposal that once we do all of that, then we get to the career planning stuff and we can actually put an action plan together and actually, give you some kind of clear guidelines about, your direction and where you could go and stuff. So that to me, that customized proposal that you did made it pretty clear to me what I
Yeah,
was
so
getting.
you were clear about how you were going to get there.
Yeah, I think I wasn't clear about some of your techniques and, and things
Yeah.
like that, but that it didn't matter really. I think that there's a and I've just been kind of thinking as I was talking a bit as well. There's a huge psychological element to what you're doing with clients. It's getting into their heads and unpacking a whole lot of stuff that doesn't serve them. And sometimes it's going way, way, way back, you know, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's just what's happened in the last few months, kind of thing. But you're more than just a coach. You're more than just a consultant. You're more than a careers advisor. You're actually dealing with psychological issues. And it's not
So I
counseling
don't try
either.
to solve those because
I know, no, you don't.
I'm not a psychologist, and
No,
that's
no.
the very fine line I need to make sure that I
Yeah,
tread
yeah,
because um with anyone that I coach or mentor or consult with, if there's any kind of sense of danger around that psychological health, then I will immediately
and
direct.
maybe
Yeah,
mindset is a safer word to use
yeah,
or something
yeah.
around. But I totally went into it, Linz, with an understanding that, oh God, we're going to have to do some really hard shit to, to get these blockers and, stuff that's gone on in my head for a very long time out of the way before I can then start on this new path kind of thing. So I understood that.
And how did you feel about that? So you knew the journey and you knew that there was maybe some harder stuff at the beginning. How did you sort of feel about that in yourself?
I was I remember being quite hopeful and excited about what this was going to be because finally having, and I think I remember saying this to you, having somebody totally focused on my needs and things, and totally you totally dedicated and there for me, and to help me work through this shit. That was that was for me what gave me kind of that hope and that excitement that, oh God, yeah, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. This is going to be good. I'm hopeful about my future, kind of thing, because I've got somebody really good that's guiding me here, kind of thing. So I did. That's how it made me feel. And because you had put that proposal together with that really clear structure and what you were going to do, and also why, and the kind of, the what's really important is the benefits to the person, being able to outline, well, what is this actually going to do for you, and that first session where we started to unpack, is it work or is it personal stuff, what's kind of going on, and answering all of those kind of different themes of questions and stuff.
And what do you think, like looking back on it now, just picking up on two of your points. The first one was about mindset. So describe to me the shift you believe you achieved in your mindset as a result of that experience.
I had hope. You left me with hope. You created hope. After years of sucky work and sucky jobs and being miserable and unhappy, you gave me hope.
And why do you think that occurred?
I think it was because of the structure and the way that we had worked through those things that was in my head. It made sense to me. But then when we actually got down to that, the plan, the careers, the roles, the action plan stuff, that was kind of where, the rubber hits the road in terms of, right, okay, now let's try and make it happen, kind of thing. And so I think that was, I don't know, for me, that was, it was all the steps along the way that I saw value in, definitely. And it totally was that work that we did up front, that mindset stuff, and clearing away all of that,
putting out the garbage
and things.
If we hadn't done that, what do you think would have been different?
Not a hell of a lot, mate. Not a hell of a lot. I think I would have been still stuck in that circle of self-doubt and self-belief and being angry about things that had gone on in the past. And also not being as kind of hopeful and as positive about the future. And how we did that exercise where we looked at, okay, what is that 65-year-old, my identity, my future identity look like? That was a good hallelujah moment after all the to get there. And it's those kind of key kind of nuggets along the way, but those kind of transformative milestones.
What was it about that 65-year-old? So to give context to this, that was when I asked you to think about who you wanted to be moving forward, and obviously what you'd like to look back on when you get to 65. What was it about that really was a nugget for you?
I think it was the opportunity just to think about it and to try and identify what the characteristics were and what I wanted my future to be. I'd never done that before.
And why do you think you'd never done it before?
Because you're so just kind of stuck in the everyday and in the now. And I've never been a good, kind of long-term planner, thinker for myself, and stuff. And so I think that it was it was a different way to think about it,
Mm.
rather than, okay, what do I want to do for the next kind of 20, 25 years of my career? What do I actually want to be when I get to the end of that career? What do I then, what do I want the characteristics of myself to be, but also what I want to be looking back on and thinking about. I just, yeah, it was a different perspective and a different angle, which was refreshing and eye-opening.
Because it was aligned more to you as a person.
Oh,
Is that what
oh,
it was?
definitely. And it was just kind of what I needed to open up my eyes and to think a bit more positively about the future as well. It was just a good little technique, I think,
Little
for
technique.
yeah, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And so if I was to describe to somebody the true north mindset, because I named this product True North because I believe everyone has a true north. Whether everyone gets to their true north or not is can be held back by so much. But obviously we discovered that your true north was not the career that you were in right now.
Mm.
And although you'd had it on your back burner for quite a long
Yeah.
time, right? Talk to me a bit about that.
Well, it had been more a drive personally than professionally, you know, and again exploring what do you enjoy doing in your personal time that you can try and make money out of and enjoy and find some happy in, kind of thing, you know, monetizing your passion
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing, rather than just going from job to job and existence to existence, um, kind of thing. So that was, I think that was one of the key things is exploring, well, personally, what fires you up, you know. And again, that's going back to not focusing on the work stuff, but actually, well, what actually motivates you and gets you out of bed? Where's your passion? And how do we translate that into something that could be fulfilling?
Yeah. And I think what then made you, I would agree with that because we I find that you often find that people's passions are in their personal life, but are put on the back shelf for the pursuit of the certainty of the salary, or oh, I can't do that, it's too big, hairy a goal, or whatever it is. But I think I do always start there because I do think that's where you often find them. But it's about how do you give people that confidence to look at them seriously. So at what point, we dusted off we knew that you had this passion for food, but what can you recall at what point you suddenly thought, well, actually, I could probably maybe consider this as a career? What incentivized you to dust it off in a different way and put it maybe back on the career list?
Probably, and it might not have been anything that we did together that incentivized me or motivated me to do that. It was the years of misery prior to that in my work life where I just thought, there's got to be more to life than this. There's got to be something else. There's got to be some happy here somewhere. I don't want to do this for the next 25 years.
No, because I do recall the time when we finally had that moment where I think it was interesting. You always knew in your soul that you weren't happy and
Yeah.
in a work environment, but I still even remember that moment, that breakthrough when you said it out loud.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you'd said it out loud. Like you say it out loud a lot now because you and I have worked together, but you hadn't, it felt to me like you'd maybe not said it out loud.
No, and I don't think that I'd really sat down and given it a lot of time or a lot of thought, really, because I hadn't had somebody to guide me and structure that kind of thinking, which is what you provided.
And yet you felt it for a long
Yeah,
time.
I did. Yeah, I just didn't know kind of what it meant and and what it could mean, and I guess kind of how to articulate it and translate it into something kind of more in my professional life rather than just being my happy place at home,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the kitchen.
And I'll never forget you describing your passion for food. When we talked about the love and the nurturing side of food,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you love making food for your friends. It's a real sort of not just a passion in terms of the garden to kitchen idea, but the idea of showing love to people that you care about. And I just thought that was, I remember you saying it to this day, and I thought it was such a wonderful reflection of who you are and what you value. And yet we were only just sort of thinking or discovering that this could be a career opportunity for
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really interesting
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
from one side of the fence to the other.
So it was good. It was part of unpacking my why, that was part of it, and I knew the value of the why, from a business perspective, definitely, but that kind of personal why as well, and how what's important to me in my personal life and what brings me happy in my personal life can translate into my why that can then find the professional
Yeah. And did you
stuff.
find
Good remembering, by the way, about our conversations. I'm very impressed.
oh yeah, no, I do. The moments that I remember the most are the moments where your face would light up
Yeah.
with that realization, or when there might be good healthy tears about
Yeah.
the breakthrough emotionally, about something that you knew was going on inside of you, but you didn't quite know how to articulate it or what to do about it. And for me as a coach, those are very precious moments to be part of, and you don't forget them
Yeah.
ever,
Uh-huh.
because it's kind of like your gift to someone else.
Yeah.
But it really comes from within you. I'm just asking the right questions around the edges. But I think my other question was, you're do you remember we used to joke about the fact that I would ask you a question and then you would respond to me very factually? Do you remember?
You would go, why? Why, right? Why do you feel that way? Why do you think it was like that? Why? Like, yeah, why? I don't know why.
So, why did you trust me in the why exercise, Rachel? Because you could have, I mean, to your credit, you could have just repeated the same answer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I knew where you were going, and I knew where you were going and why. It was just tough getting there some days, wasn't it? Tougher, to get to that. That kind of, you were digging deeper.
Yeah.
And it was tough, and it was very uncomfortable at times, but I knew I needed to do it. I think
And I
that
think that's definitely to your absolute credit. You came in and you knew that you had some
yeah,
hard work to do. You were quite fearful about it, but you did it anyway. And that is a real testament to you and your character. Because some people don't want to face it
yeah,
at
I
all.
think I think if you've got and you'll be able to sense this with clients pretty quickly, is if there's a kind of that level of self-realization or self-awareness, then that makes your job a hell of a lot easier.
Well, it does. I
For
mean,
that reason. Yeah.
yeah, you want, I want to help people uncover possibilities and see what they can't see themselves, and obviously remove barriers, etc. But it has to come from, the essence of coaching is about helping somebody realize that within themselves, not being the fixer. I'm not here to be the fixer. I can provide the
Guiding them
right
to those
questions.
realizations.
Yeah, I can provide the right questions and structure, but ultimately coaching is about allowing that person to realize it from within, and then progress. If I just come along and gone, right, Rachel, this is what I think your passion is, this is what I think we're going to do, here's your roadmap, how would that have felt?
Oh, I probably would have kicked you out. No, I wouldn't have kicked you out. I wouldn't have invited you back.
And what's been your, when I first met you as well, you talked to me about, you'd had career coaching before.
Oh, yeah, bits and pieces. Yes.
And so how was that different?
Oh, it was completely different, Lens. It was, the whole unpacking the personal and the mindset stuff and what was going on in here didn't happen. It was just a templated, let's work through your career plan. Let's work through what you enjoy doing, what don't you enjoy doing, what's important to you in your job, and la 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 la. What are your values? It had been very templated,
Yes, and I
literally
do
worked
I
through
do remember
a
you
workbook.
saying that you liked the fact that it didn't feel like a cookie cutter approach.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
I mean,
Yeah,
the structure was, but every person is different. So,
yeah, yeah.
you
And
know,
as I said, I just felt like you got me. You understood me from the start, you know, even from that initial call.
was there a particular thing I said or asked you that you can remember that made that connection for you, that built that initial trust?
Can't remember the specific questions that you asked in that discovery call. I just remember getting off that call and thinking, holy mollies, yeah, this could be really good and really useful for me. And I think you touched on a few things. And again, yeah, I can't remember the specific questions, but you touched on a few things um, that I'd been struggling with for a long time, kind of around mindset stuff. And I think the energy and the positivity that you brought to that conversation, as well as, the insightful questions asked, was also really important. And what helped me feel like you got me, but also, okay, there's something here. This could be really useful for me. I think that, you don't want to, when you're down in the doldrums and you need help from somebody and things, you want to work with somebody who's going to lift you up. And just in your infectious personality and the energy and positivity that you bring naturally, that that also contributed to that.
And now that is interesting because a few people have said that they've either called me contagious or infectious, and I'm not quite sure. I sound like a pandemic, but I would like to understand that because that is interesting. A lot of people have said it's not only in terms of my coaching skill set, but there's an energy about me
Yes,
that is sort of intangible, but
yes,
tangible, if you know what I mean.
yes.
That is also an important factor in their decision making. Was that a factor in your decision making?
It was, because if you don't gel with a coach or somebody that's going to guide you, if you don't feel like you can relate to them or that they can, kind of help you, then you're not going to engage with them. It's not going to work.
No, and
But
that's
I
true. I mean, the whole purpose of the discovery call is to make sure there's a fit between
exactly.
me and somebody that wants to work with me, and it's a two-way street. It you need that sort of compatibility in terms of energy and to be able to have, I don't want to say fun. Well, we had lots of fun,
We
actually.
did.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a pretty immense journey that we went on together,
Yeah. Yeah. And
but
in
we
quite a short
still,
period of time too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was quite intense. But
Yeah.
actually, born out of that, I would like to see that we have a friendship that's developed on the back of that, and um
And much more than that. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. But yeah, and don't underestimate that. And that's not something I don't think that you need to articulate, or it's probably not something that you can articulate in marketing material or anything. That's
no,
just who you
it's
are.
no, it's
Your inherent nature is a lot of what people buy when they engage in your services. Is you.
yeah, and I think there is an energy that I bring and a passion. I mean, I absolutely want to do my best for every person that comes across my path. And um I I really do genuinely believe that you have to start with someone's identity. before you can move to some of the other parts of their journey. It's I haven't come across a client yet where I haven't started with some aspect of their identity or their resilience to sort of clear the way for the next part, whether it's career or leadership or marketing, technical capable, or whatever it is. But I've yet to come across a person that doesn't have that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is really
Totally.
interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It totally is. Yeah. But how you just articulated, it's even just saying it like that, it's around, helping somebody understand their mindset or the current mindset that they're in, but also then where they need to be, and
In
things.
order to make great decisions. I think in today's society, our minds get so filled and noisy and fogged up, and mine too, that I think sometimes we don't give ourselves the time to think about ourselves or our life or the way ahead. Um, why do you think people don't think about the way ahead?
I don't think people know how to. I didn't know how to. I didn't know kind of how to. I mean, for God's sake, I'm a strategic business advisor, and worked with businesses around strategic planning and things for years and stuff, but I couldn't think about that in my own context for myself.
Why do you think that is? Because
Um,
you plan and you manage major client accounts, and so you
yeah,
have a plan for every single one of them, but yet you weren't sure how to tackle it. What was that
yeah.
about?
I think trying to apply those skills and things to myself, in my own life, and where I wanted to go, where I needed to go and stuff. I don't know. It's just not something that you naturally do.
I
It
know
kind of makes
it
work.
is so interesting. There's so many people that don't have a plan. They're sort of drifting from
Yeah,
role to role.
yeah. It's like the chef. The last thing you want to do is cook when you come home. If you're a chef.
Absolutely. And tell me about the roadmap that we created. So we created you a career roadmap.
Mm.
Um, and obviously you and I haven't been working together for a while.
Mm.
But obviously you made a rather major decision based on that roadmap. So talk to
Yeah,
me a bit about that.
yeah. I think it's funny how kind of life circumstances just kind of sometimes help to align with things like getting sick of your neighborhood and selling your house, and then oh, okay, this could happen. Oh, this could happen. This could align with this kind of thing. And I think that uh, that action plan that we and then I, kind of refined and put together. It certainly just helped give me clarity around the steps that I needed to take. And yes, okay, one of those steps wasn't necessarily moving towns. Certainly
No,
not in
you
the
did that one all on your own.
in the first 6 to 12 months kind of thing. But it certainly was, kind of after the 3 or 4 or 5 years was moving somewhere else to pursue my passion.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
right. Because we plotted it out for 5 years.
yeah, yeah. But
Did you find that hard to have that sort of level of plan for the next 5 years?
it was hard for me. Yeah, I it was useful to write it down, but I didn't know if it was right.
Right.
And not that it needs to be right. It just needs to be something alive that I constantly kind of look at and
Yeah.
review and think about, and update as life circumstances change.
So do you refer to that
No, I
your
haven't
plan?
actually, but a friend just reminded me a wee while ago when I was kind of telling her what was, the roller coaster of ups and downs for the last few months, and she's like, "Get that bloody plan out that you did,"
Stick it
and
on your wall.
yeah, because I said,
Put it on your phone. Put it on your
questioning
phone.
my decisions, what the hell am I doing here some days, and what have I done, kind of thing. But well, get that plan out and bloody, revisit that stuff that you did. I said, actually, that's a bloody good idea because it just kind of helps. Again, just helps with the thinking and the mindset sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you will face setback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Acknowledge
it's a
that.
5 year plan, so you're absolutely gonna be challenged in that plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, make sure that you do anchor yourself
Yeah.
back into what we did. Like if you what did you find the most useful artifacts that you got out of the experience? Like if you were talking to someone and you were to say what the biggest benefits were for you and the things that you got, the artifacts, the assets, what would have been your biggest ones?
There's probably those two identities, my, current identity, what I'm currently looking and feeling like and what's currently driving me and stuff like that, and then that future identity. That was the I think quite a significant game changer for me in our process. That
Yes.
identity stuff. Yeah.
And
Again, because I hadn't thought about it like that and processed it like that before or gone that deep,
yeah,
ever,
and I
and had
suppose all
somebody
the
challenge thinking
yeah.
and
And was
stuff.
it the fact that it had all these different linkages, obviously, between your behaviors and your values and your beliefs and your
Yeah.
habits and your behaviors? Because
Yeah.
that's actually what that template was about. It was about defining who you wanted to be versus who you were now, but then it was about that system. Did you look at it as a system? How did you look at it? Or did you look at it as
I
your
think,
wiring, or how did you look at it?
hmm, I think I just looked at it as a thought process. It's just some structure and how I needed to think about myself. Yeah, not so much a system or that, but yeah, just good clear structure, which is I think a lot of what people are looking for is just how to think about stuff, how to
Yeah, I
articulate
think,
stuff.
yeah. And I am quite would you say I'm quite a structured
Yeah,
person?
definitely. Yes, and that's a great thing. That's what people need, particularly when people are stressed and challenged and all really low, and they come to you and they're like, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing or how to get there, or I'm miserable or whatever kind of thing. That's what is really helpful, is really clear, concise structure. Right.
And so you didn't find that constrained you in any way?
No, no, not at all. No. I mean, we went on tangents and,
We did.
we kind of went, like this and got there. It's never a straight line. It's always a
It
wiggly
never
line.
is a straight line. So
Yeah.
if I was to ask you to describe your kind of level of self-confidence and belief in yourself before we started and how it plays out afterwards, how would you describe that?
Subterranean before we started.
So what was it?
It was subterranean.
Subterranean self-confidence.
I
Okay, so
think I think I
subterranean self-confidence and resilience at the beginning.
yeah. Yeah. I think resilience was definitely there. It just I wasn't aware of how much I was actually flexing that resilience muscle. And often it is just something you do. You just get on with shit. You just get over shit. And you get on with life kind of thing. And so that resilience, I think, was there. Perhaps I wasn't to what extent it was, and it continues to be challenged,
Mm.
definitely. But it was definitely the mindset stuff that was the most valued, most valuable. What was your question again? Remind me your
So my
question.
question was, if you were to describe to people what the shift in terms of your self-confidence and resilience from when we started to when we finished, what would you say?
Yeah, that because you had a low base to work from.
I can't can't put that out. I'm not going to get you saying, I wish I had a low base to work from. You weren't that bad.
Oh look, but the shift was huge. It was significant in terms of how I viewed myself and how I thought about what I'd learned from stuff that had gone on as well. And you kind of helped bring that out as well. And so yeah, the shift was huge. It really was. As I say, when we kind of finished and I was putting that kind of we were putting that kind of action plan together and stuff, I was excited, you know, and I had heaps of hope about the future. Still do, obviously. But yeah, the I felt so much more positive, and I think because you had also validated how I was feeling and that it was okay. And I think, the saying, get the hell out of Dodge. Don't, even in that first session where we, kind of mapped out what was working and what wasn't, particularly from a work perspective. And it's just like, you've got to get the hell out of there. Even just hearing that from you was really helpful. Just somebody who was well, okay, maybe not completely impartial,
No.
but new to me, and new to my background and my perspective on things. That was really validating and helpful. So I was like, right, yeah, I got to do this. I need to do this.
And that is interesting because I have heard that from a few people where they say I was kind of feeling this thing or I was thinking this thing, and then when you kind of teased it all out and we sort of agreed it was this thing, it was really validating. And it was really interesting that that people doubt that so much in themselves, that they doubt that what they're feeling or thinking is correct.
Oh, there's a lot of imposter syndrome out there, isn't there? A
There
lot.
is.
Yeah. Yeah,
There
totally.
is.
So yeah, I think it's really hard to quantify, Linz. I think kind of the shift that we made, me and
I think you
myself.
did it quite well when you said subterranean.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think I
it really
I think
was.
you're right. I all joking aside, I think your self-confidence was really was pretty low. And your resilience was there, but you'd flexed it so hard it felt like it was tired. Um
Very
and
fatigued.
yeah, fatigued. It felt you felt tired. Like it wasn't to say that your resilience was low, but I think you'd had to be resilient for such a prolonged period of time. It felt tired. And so it was trying to you know, well, I wanted you to believe, well, you wanted to believe more in yourself and be more resilient, but not have to be resilient 110% of the time all the time.
It's
And
exhausting. Yeah.
it's exhausting, yeah, mentally. And so from my perspective, to see you shift, like to see the excitement in you and to see the the belief that you could take what was a very personal passion around food and then decide, I'm gonna run a business in food. And it was just like, whoa, we kind of went from, this career in an agency to boom, I'm gonna create my food business. And yes, I'm gonna have a 5-year map. And it was wonderful to watch
Mm,
because
mm.
you were kind of oozing much more belief in yourself and um the
Yeah.
excitement of the possibilities, I think.
Yeah, and it really was those two key things. I think the unpacking the personal shit first, bog, whatever you want to call it, kind of thing, and then providing that structure around the career stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, the structure all along, yes, but that unpacking the baggage.
yeah, putting out the garbage is one of my favorite expressions. I think we
Yeah.
have like in our mind, I don't know if you remember me telling you there was like 5% of our mind is conscious, 95% of our mind is unconscious. And we have a lot of baggage sitting in our unconscious.
Mm. Mm.
And I know we were joking earlier about me, I kept asking you why, but that helps you probe down into your unconscious mind to
Yeah,
sift up the
totally.
baggage from the subterranean depths.
Using the why technique. Yeah.
The 7 layers of why, which I knew every time I went why, I could see your eyes going, "Oh, she's asking me why again." But
Yeah.
as we moved forward on that, it sort of became a bit of a joke between us.
Yeah.
And you came to expect it. In fact, by the end, the way you answered my questions, that was the other shift I observed. The way you answered my questions moved from starting with the factual, which sort of was your armor, I think, your protection, to being coming at me with more emotionally based answers as we moved through the journey. And that was
Mm.
something that I observed. You sort of opened up more on the emotional front.
Mm.
And I think that's because you you sort of protected yourself for such a long time because you didn't believe in yourself. And so you sort of put a bit of an armor around yourself was my feeling. And I was sort of there with my hammer and my nail, kind of
But it was
chipping away
you.
every time with my questions.
It was you that drew that out.
I know. Well, yeah. Well, you drew it out yourself as well, to be fair. I just
I wouldn't
asked.
have done it without you.
I realized that, but I sort of guided you with the questions, but you had to find it. And you found it. I mean, you pulled yourself up from subterranean. You
Mm.
did.
Mm.
And I gave you a bit of a compass along the way, but you know,
Mm.
fair
You
credit to you, Rach. It was you.
need to give yourself more credit too.
And if I was to say, if there was someone else out there that was considering going through this, what advice would you give to them? If they were going to go through True North Career Mastery, what advice would you give them?
I would say hmm, just be prepared to be open and and really, give it all you got. But just do it. Particularly if you've someone like me who was very unhappy professionally for a long time. It's you've got to unpack all of that stuff before you can move on, or look at something different. You've really got to do that, and that's not just about career stuff.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
work. It takes more than that. So I would, and I have recommended and referred you to people. They may not have come through to you, or it may not have converted. But and I think I have said when I have made those referrals, is that that you are a life and a career coach, kind of, that it's not just one exclusive angle there. So I mean, I can only talk from my perspective, but it was so valuable
mm.
and so useful. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's I think because people don't I think when you say life coaching, people slightly freak out. Do you know what I mean? I'm
yeah.
not sure why that is. Um, because life coaching for me is just about helping you with who you are in life. But I think I don't know, there's a sort of a thing about like what do you think people think when you say life? Like before you met me, if I'd said to you, we're going to do some life coaching, what would you have thought?
I would have thought that it was more personally driven than professionally.
Ah, okay. So life coaching for you was just over here in this box and wouldn't
More
necessarily
so.
straight into the other.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, it can sound a bit intense, you know, when you've seen them on TV or, you know, had any experience with them or something. A life coach is, you know, somebody who you've got to sit down with on a weekly basis and, you know, work through stuff.
Work through
And
life.
yeah, kind of thing. And I don't know, sometimes there can be a perception that, oh God, it's intense, it's full on, it's expensive, you know,
Yeah.
because you know, there's so many different aspects to life. Where do you even start? And
Yeah, so it can be a bit overwhelming in terms of, well, how how are you going to
yeah,
actually
it's
tackle
quite
my
a
life in an early session? Yeah,
it's a very vague term,
it is a
life.
vague term. I was trying to think of another term. What other term? I actually have called it personal coaching, but then I thought, well, no, it makes me sound like a fitness trainer. So I was trying to think
Yeah,
of
it's a
another
tough one.
term. What would you say instead of life coaching from
I don't know, the word mindset keeps on coming up in my head, but even that sometimes
carries
isn't right.
some,
I'd need to do a bit of cogitation whiteboarding on that one.
yeah, because I have been thinking about what I am.
Yeah. But
Like not me as a person, but me as a
it's
coach.
yes.
Like loads of people say to me, "Oh, you're a resilience coach. No, you're a mindset coach. No,
Mm,
you're a strategy coach. No, you're a..." And so I
yeah.
don't know if I fit into one box, but I was trying to
No,
think
you
about it because
don't.
when you say a mindset coach, that makes me think, well, you do all the stuff in the mind, but there's no action involved, and that's absolutely not what I am. Um,
No, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I mean, there can certainly be action after you've
done
worked
the
on the
work, but I think when you say the word mindset coach, people think of, you know,
changing thing and
changing your thinking and then bye bye, off you go, but we won't take any action off of that, which is not me either. And so it's been really interesting. I've been sort of thinking about
yeah.
myself. I called myself an identity centric coach, but then I thought people will understand what that means. I know what that means, but
Mm,
I don't think people will know
it's
what
a
that
bit
means.
jargony.
It's very jargony.
Yeah. I have to
Um,
think about it. I have a think about it and
will you? Because I
yeah.
feel like I say on the one hand, I'm a professional coach. And I'm a professional coach for the marketing communications profession, which is true.
Yeah.
But I also have people who are clients who are nothing to do with marketing communications and who are come to me for resilience or mindset stuff or um
Mm.
customer experience strategy workshops or marketing strategy workshops. So I'm sort of, maybe I can't put myself into one box, but I kind of feel I need to sort of put the majority of myself in a description that
Yeah.
people understand. And this True North Career Mastery has been a really interesting observation because I think people are still not getting that integration
Right. Mm.
between the mindset stuff and the structured career decision making and mapping. I think they either look at it in one box or the other, but they can't quite see how it gels together.
Yeah, there's something about that kind of holistic approach.
I know, and I hate the word holistic, don't you? I
Oh
think
yeah, no, you think kind of airy fairy hippie.
integrated, holistic, and so the way
Yeah.
I've sort of looked at it right now is to say I am a coach that coaches on all aspects of your journey, whether it's personal or professional career leadership. But that's too long. I want a word, like
Yeah.
a word. Um,
Do
and
some
that
music.
was, yeah. So I'm still sort of quibbling over that one because I don't know, and I
Good.
wonder if that's what part of the problem is. People who work with me. Actually, I'm going to stop recording because we were recording now, aren't we?